Hi everyone. I had to install the SPSS remote desktop myself in the past week for the first time. And I am working from home, or when I work from home, I work on just a little MacBook. And I am much more sympathetic about all of the many steps that you need to do in order to activate, download, and use your remote desktop SPSS. So I'm going to walk you through, in addition to the instructions that are in the D2L already, I'm going to walk you through all the steps for activating the remote desktop SPSS. And I'm going to be showing things that are specific to MacBook for me, but most of what I'm going to show you is for all of you, no matter what your OS is. Okay, so we will start. I will also give you the link to these slides as a set of images, but this video version will talk you through all the steps to setting up your SPSS desktop. Just to make sure everyone gets over this hurdle immediately in the first week. Everything else in the remainder of the course really depends on being able to do this as simply as possible. So I'm really taking this extra step of trying to help. I'm going to take you through the steps of downloading the SPSS, opening the activity data, and making sure it's weighted properly. I'm not going to teach about relative weights in this video today. So the SPSS instructions are in the D2L already, in the content area of the D2L. And they're similar to last year. The instructions are here in a pop-up link. The detailed instructions are here in a pop-up link. I've also got below what you're seeing right now, a series from Andy, a series of SPSS guides, and including video guides, which might be helpful to you at various points in the course. And the key thing to remember, I'm going to say it a few times later in the video once the SPSS is open on my own desktop. Use the documents folder. Don't forget to save your SAV files, your data files, and all of your working remote desktop files in the documents. Otherwise, it will be deleted after you log out of the virtual desktop. So when you hit the link to the instructions, it will bring you to this document, and this document has been slightly updated for fall 2021, but it's basically the same. And if you're going to be using a Windows PC or a Mac or a Chromebook or an Android or an iOS phone, you will have a slightly different first step than I'm going to show you. I'm just going to show you the MacBook version, which is what I need. But if you're planning, or if you need to use a pad or a PC, then this first step will be slightly different. And another thing you need to know in order for this to work is that you need the two-step authentication, the two-step login installed, which I think you need the two-step login for everything already. So don't forget that you need to enable the two-step login also for the remote desktop, just like I'm sure you've also been already using it for your RU email and your RU drive and your D2L, and like everything requires the two-step at least once a month, right? Okay, so you need that two-step installed as well. And there will be a point in the download that is not in this video where it will ask you to do the two-step authentication, and it will send you a code to your phone that you need to plug in. So again, I'm going to show the next couple of slides that are specific to my MacBook. And for you, the next couple of slides might be slightly different. So follow the instructions whether it's Windows or Mac, or for your pad. They're all slightly different. For my MacBook, there's a link there that I showed on the previous slide that brings me directly to my MacBook apps to download what I need for remote desktop. And when I download it, it appears in my launch window. So it appears as the most recent software among all of, so my VPN is here, and my Zoom is here, and my Office is here, and there's a whole previous screen of other other kind of apps. And this is where I'm going to launch the remote desktop from now on. So every time on my Mac, at least, every time I go to use SPSS in my remote desktop, I'm going to do the launcher and launch it from here. And the launcher brings me to this little pop-up with the default desktop, and you click that, and it asks you to log in as if you're doing your Ryerson login. So this is as if you're logging into email, logging into D2L, logging into anything at Ryerson. So you put in your Ryerson ID, password, and it will launch the Windows, and it looks as if you're now booting a Windows computer. So this now looks like my office computer. And for you, even if you're on a Windows computer, it will look like a different Windows computer, but it'll look like you're launching a Windows computer. And it will bring you to a Windows desktop. And this is a remote Windows desktop. This is your desktop to some extent, although it's the same desktop for all students. And only so many students can use it at one time. And we are going to avoid, in when assignments are due, we're going to avoid some of the backlog that happened last year. But here I've just kind of dragged it, the SPSS icon over to the middle of the screen. But you don't need to drag it over. I'm just kind of emphasizing the SPSS icon. And one of the things that you're going to need to do is check your documents. And so this is like opening a Finder window if you're a Mac user like me, or if you're a Windows user, you already know how to open your documents, but you're going to often need to check your documents area. Now, I mentioned this already once. I'm going to mention it at least once more. This documents area is yours, but it is the only part of this Windows Remote Desktop that will stay here all semester. Every time you log in, your documents will be there from the previous time you logged in. But the other parts of this remote desktop are going to go away. So you have to get into the habit of keeping your 483 data in your documents area. And I'm going to show a little bit later that I'm going to create, just for me and my teaching, I'm going to create a new folder, which I'm going to show a little bit later, for my Wednesday teaching. And I'm going to put the activity data, the teaching activity data, the classroom activity data in that new folder, and it will be there forever. And then when we get to the assignments later, the project data later, I'll make another folder to put my project data. Okay, now one of the things you need to do is take the activity data set from D2L and put it into the documents in the remote desktop. So you need to open a Chrome or a web browser in the remote desktop. So now this is, I'm launching Chrome inside of the remote desktop, and I'm going to log into my Ryerson inside of the remote desktop, and it will bring me to, you have two options. I'm going to show you two options. It will bring me to the apps where I can open my drive. So one option, these are all my files, all my personal files. You see the survey from last week and the slides from last week. Okay, so if your data is is sitting in a drive folder, you can download it from that drive folder. Or I'm going to show you the other way to download it, of course, is to, instead of opening your drive, you can open your D2L. And if you open your D2L, here on the course info is probably the quickest way to get it, but I've already put it under the activity week 1. It's also under week 1. But you can download the student lab data. Just the entire SAV file. You can just download it directly from D2L as well. And if you download it directly from D2L, it will appear here on the bottom, because like a Chrome download, and you can say show all in a folder. This is just downloading a file. How do you find a file that you're downloading? And if you show all, open the folder, here's the download of the student activity data. Here's my download of the student activity data. And here it is in a window, document window, but I need to put it over in my documents area. I can't just have it in the downloads. I could use it in the downloads, but I need to actually put it in the documents, in my documents, in order to have it there for the rest of the semester. So let's make a new folder in documents. Mine, I called SOCH 483 class time activity data. So now every time I'm preparing for Wednesday, and just like you, every time I'm preparing for Wednesday activity, my data inside my remote desktop will always be here in my documents in SOCH 483 classroom activity data. And just drag it over from downloads into the new folder inside the documents. So drag it from downloads into documents. Okay, if you set this up properly, similar to I've done, you will only need to do this once for the rest of the semester. And the project data, once you do it again for the project data, you will still only need to do it once. And then every time you work on the project, every time you work on the activity, it will already be sitting here in your documents inside the remote desktop. I know you've done this for another course or even 2 courses before, but this is reminding you how to do it. It's been a long summer reminding you how to do it. There are many, many steps. I know there are many, many steps. Okay, so the data is now in a new folder inside my documents. I've made a new folder and I dropped the data into that new folder. And I'm going to open SPSS and open another file and find the folder in the documents, SOCH 483 documents, and get the data, the SAV file, the data file, and open it. Okay, now the one other thing I'm going to talk about in this particular video, because this is just getting the remote desktop downloaded, opening SPSS, getting the data into SPSS. This is nothing to do with the activity. This is just getting things set up. The one other thing I want to show you in the setup is waiting to double check. Now, the data, the first time you download this class time activity data, it should be already weighted. It should already be weighted. It says wait on, should say wait on down here in the corner, wait on. But if you want to double check that you're using the right weights, you open up data weights and you can double check the current status. Current status was, when I opened it the first time, current status was weight by rel weight, rate by weight, cases by rel weight. And that is what you want. You want to use the relative weights, And I'm going to actually talk about in the lesson on Wednesday relative weights and the importance of calculating and making your relative weights, just to double check. Now, I actually made a mistake here the first time I did this. I remember, see, when you check that the weight is the correct weight, it defaults to do not weight. And if I hit OK, actually, by mistake, I actually turned the weight off. So I had to open it again and turn the weight back on. So weight cases by, find the variable rel weight, and drop it in to weight cases by rel weight. So if you find that your data is not weighted, if it does not say weight on down in the bottom right corner, then open up your weight cases by, drop in rel weight, make sure it's always rel weight, and this time I turn back on the weights. So it says weight on again. And now, finally, I have the activity data set open. I've double checked that the weights are on, the proper rel weight is on, and I'm ready, finally, with my remote desktop downloaded and my data open. I'm ready, finally, to do the activity. And if you follow all these steps as a reminder of how you did it last year, now you too are ready to attempt the class activity for the week. I'm not going to make another video before Wednesday to take you through the class activity, but on Wednesday, we will talk about the class activity. We'll talk about the answers to the class activity. I will probably show you live. I'll probably share my screen and show you live some options for the SPSS and that. So good luck. Watch Heather's video, watch Professor Rollwagon's video, try the activity, and I hope that this guide to downloading the remote desktop is helpful. Everyone has to do this, and I don't want anyone to get stuck with any of the steps to doing this. I understand now that I've done it myself, there are a lot of steps to downloading the remote desktop, but you only need to do it the once. If you set it up correctly, it's ready for the entire rest of the semester. Okay, good luck, everyone, and I will see you again on Wednesday.